Look at the world around you. Touch the wall of your room. Feel the weight of the phone in your hand. Listen to the rhythmic beat of your own heart. Everything feels solid. Everything feels permanent. We look at the world around you. Touch the wall of your room. Feel the weight of the phone in your hand. Listen to the rhythmic beat of your own heart. Everything feels solid. Everything feels permanent. We have spent our entire lives, and our ancestors spent theirs, operating under a fundamental assumption that the laws of physics are a fixed foundation. We believe that an atom of carbon today will be an atom of carbon tomorrow. We trust that the vacuum of space is empty and stable. But what if I told you that our entire existence, every star, every galaxy, every memory you've ever had, is perched on a cosmic razor's edge? What if our universe is not the true version of reality, but a temporary, fragile bubble waiting for a single pinprick to burst it? To understand the terror of the next 72 hours, we have to look back at the events of the 13th of March, 2026. While the world was focused on the stealth asteroid 2026 EG-1, a much smaller, much more dangerous event was occurring deep underground in Switzerland. At the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, physicists were pushing particles to energy levels that had not been seen since a trillionth of a second after the Big Bang. They were searching for the God particle, but what they found was a God error. In a high-energy collision that lasted less than a nanosecond, something went wrong. A bubble appeared. In the language of quantum field theory, they had accidentally triggered a localized phase transition. They had created a tiny pocket of true vacuum. You see, the universe exists in a state called a false vacuum. Think of it like a ball sitting in a small dip on the side of a mountain. It's stable for now, but it isn't at the lowest possible energy state. The true vacuum is the bottom of that mountain. If the ball ever gets pushed over the edge of that dip, it will roll down to the bottom, and it will never come back up. When that bubble was created at the LHC, it didn't just stay in the collider. It began to expand. And because it is a fundamental shift in the fabric of space-time itself, it doesn't move like a wave or a gas. It moves at the speed of light, $C. This is the start of the radiant end. This is the moment the universe decided to reset its own operating system, and we are the corrupted data that is about to be deleted. As we moved into the 14th of March 2026, the data from our deep space probes began to show a terrifying anomaly. It wasn't something they saw, it was something they stopped seeing. The James Webb Space Telescope, our most advanced eye in the dark, was pointed toward a distant star cluster when it recorded a hard edge of nothingness. Imagine a photograph where half of the image is a vibrant, star-filled nebula, and the other half is not black, not shadow, but a total absence of information, a white wall of absolute energy. This is the wavefront of the false vacuum decay. Because this bubble is expanding at the speed of light, it is a blind catastrophe. If you were standing in its path, you would never see it coming. The light from the event and the event itself would reach you at the exact same time. 1 millisecond, you are a human being made of atoms, DNA, and complex electrical signals. The next millisecond, the true vacuum hits you. Inside this new vacuum, the laws of physics are rewritten. The Higgs field, the field that gives particles mass, changes its value. In an instant, the electrons in your body lose their mass and fly away at the speed of light. The nuclei of your atoms dissolve. The chemical bonds holding your cells together don't just break. They cease to be a physical possibility. There is no pain. There is no explosion. There is only a sudden, absolute transition from something to nothing. It is the ultimate planetary autopsy, but on a universal scale. We aren't just watching a planet die 11,000 light-years away. We are watching the very concept of a planet being erased from the cosmic ledger. The 72-hour cosmic blackout has taken on a new, final meaning. We aren't just losing data from satellites. We are losing the space-time where that data used to exist. The abyss isn't just looking back anymore. It is moving in. It is claiming the house where the foundations are liquefying. By the afternoon of the 15th of March, 2026, the silence in the scientific community had become deafening. While the public was still mesmerized by exciting new discoveries, the inner circles of theoretical physics were witnessing the total liquefaction of their foundations. The little red dots that James Webb had found earlier, those impossible, ultra-compact black holes, were no longer just anomalies. They were acting as anchors for the decay, nodes where the fabric of space-time was already so thin that the vacuum transition began to accelerate. We have always treated the universe as a neat, logical timeline. We believed that because we could observe a particle, we could understand its state. But the observer effect has turned into a cosmic trap. By looking at these glitches in the system, by measuring the impossible mass of the primordial black holes, we inadvertently peeled the scab off the fabric of reality. Our very curiosity triggered a systemic shift. In computer science, when multiple errors occur simultaneously in different sectors, it means the operating system is failing. The 72-hour cosmic blackout is our notification of a fatal error. Reality.exe has stopped responding. We are seeing corrupted data in the planetary debris of distant systems and peripheral failures in our own backyard. The logic we use to build our civilizations, the stone and steel of our cities, is now proven to be more fragile than the veil of the night sky. We are like prisoners who spent our lives studying shadows on a wall, only to see a crack appear that reveals a roaring, chaotic fire outside. That fire is the true vacuum. It is a state of existence where the standard model of physics is a joke. The abyss isn't just a place. It's a predator that has been leaning against the other side of our velvet curtain for eons, and we just gave it a way in. As we approach the final hours of the 16th of March 2026, the realization is setting in. This is not a disaster we can survive. This is a great dimming of information. The universe is beginning to redact its own history. Every star we see, every galaxy we've mapped, is merely a bubble of foam on a much darker, moving ocean. And that ocean is being towed toward an unknown point of absolute erasure. Habitability was never our right. It was a temporary privilege granted by the chaotic whims of a universe we never truly understood. We are survivors of a collision we don't remember, living on the edge of a collision we won't see coming. The false vacuum decay is the ultimate planetary autopsy, except this time, the patient is the entire cosmos. NASA and the elite scientists will try to normalize this. They will write papers and create CGI models to explain the little red dots and the Europa breath. They will tell you that we are learning more than ever. But to know these things is to be forever changed. You cannot unhear the breath of a moon or unsee the glitches that prove your reality is an illusion. The sky is no longer our ceiling. It is a bottomless abyss that has finally begun to speak. It is not inviting us to explore. It is warning us that the cosmic safety we felt was merely a result of our own blindness. Now that we have sight, we see the predators in the glare. We see that we are not the masters of this house, but merely tenants in a structure that is far more dangerous than we dared to imagine. As we reach the evening of the 16th of March 2026, a new and perhaps more unsettling phenomenon has begun to emerge from the deep space acoustic sensors. While we call space a vacuum, it is actually filled with plasma, gravitational waves, and electromagnetic oscillations that can be sonified, turned into sounds the human ear can perceive. Within the last 24 hours, the Voyager probes, still screaming their silent messages from the interstellar medium, have detected a shift in the background hum of the void. It is a deepening of the cosmic static, a low-frequency vibration that feels less like noise and more like a collective indrawing of breath. In the niche communities of theoretical astrophysics, they are calling it the Great Dimming of Information. It's as if the universe itself is beginning to redact its own history. We are finding that as we look deeper into the past, the light isn't just redshifted, it is being distorted by dark flows, massive, invisible rivers of matter that are pulling entire galaxy clusters toward an unknown point outside our observable horizon. This suggests that our entire visible universe, everything we have ever seen, mapped, and named, is merely a small, detached bubble of foam floating on a much larger, much honed, darker ocean. And that ocean is moving. We aren't just drifting. We are being towed. This realization brings us back to the asteroid 2026 EG-1. When we saw it, it was almost too late. But what about the things we don't see? The dark flow suggests that there are structures out there, megavoids, or gargantuan concentrations of mass that are so large they don't just exert gravity. They exert will over the trajectory of billions of stars. We are living in a house that is being dragged through the woods at night, and we are only just now noticing the vibrations in the floorboards. The events of March 13th to March 16th have shown us that our outposts are blind. We missed an asteroid in our own backyard. We miscalculated the age of the first giants, and now we are watching planets die and moons breathe. While we can only record the data as the abyss widens, as we settle into the cold reality of the 16th of March 2026, we must confront a psychological horror more jarring than any physical impact: the observer effect on a cosmological scale. In quantum mechanics, the mere act of observing a particle changes its state. But for the last 72 hours, our most powerful instruments have been observing things that defy logic. We are realizing that the universe is not just stranger than we suppose, but stranger than we can suppose. By measuring these little red dots and quantifying their impossible mass, we are forced to admit that our laws of physics are merely local suggestions. We are like prisoners who have spent their whole lives studying the patterns of shadows on a cell wall, only to have a crack appear in the stone that reveals a roaring, chaotic fire outside. This leads us to a terrifying question. Is the universe waking up because we are looking at it, or are we only looking at it because it is waking up? The synchronization of the stealth asteroid, the breathing moon, the planetary collision, and the impossible black holes feels like a systemic shift. In computer science, when multiple errors occur simultaneously, it usually means the underlying operating system is failing. If the universe is an operating system, then the 72-hour cosmic blackout is our first notification of a critical system error. NASA and other agencies are in a state of quiet panic, framing these as exciting new discoveries to mask the fact that the foundations of our house are liquefying. They are trying to keep the public from realizing that the velvet curtain of the night sky is actually a thin, fraying veil, and that something massive, ancient, and perhaps hungry is leaning against the other side. We have spent centuries looking for signs of life, but now that they are appearing, they don't feel like an invitation, they feel like a warning. We were safe only because we were blind. Now that we have sight, we see the predators in the sun's glare and the glitches that suggest our reality is far more fragile than the stone and steel of our cities. Tonight, when you look up at the stars, don't look for beauty, look for the truth. Look for the gaps between the stars, for that is where the real power lies. Look for the red glows that shouldn't exist and the shadows that move against the solar glare. The sky is no longer a ceiling, it is a bottomless abyss, and in the last 72 hours, that abyss has finally begun to speak. The question is, are we brave enough to listen, or will we retreat back into the comfortable lies of our small, silent world? If you felt the chill of the cosmic void today, stay with us. We are the sentinels on the edge of the unknown, tracking every heartbeat of the cosmos so you don't have to face the darkness alone.